Hurry, get out of here! Before they find you, quickly! The young waiter pulls my arm and pushes me out of the restaurant. This part-timer anxiously ushers me out while repeatedly glancing back inside. Today, I had come to this Italian restaurant to see my precious son, whom my ex-wife took custody of when we divorced. I can't hide my anger at this stranger interfering with my rare monthly opportunity. Hey, what's the deal? As I try to shake off the waiter's grip on my arm, I notice his hand is trembling slightly. Please calm down and listen. The truth is, that parent and child are... My name is Charles, a 37-year-old father. I'm divorced and my son lives with my wealthy ex-wife, Jackie. My son's name is Elliot, and he's about to turn 13. I met Jackie, who was older than me, at a group date when I was a student. We got married after I graduated college. Some close friends invited me to join a group date on a whim, and that's where I encountered her. Jackie's looks were decent. Being older, she had a calm demeanor, and I found her thoughtfulness and smile charming at the time. When everyone exchanged contact info, Jackie was the first to reach out. I had such a wonderful time today. Thanks to you, I was able to spend a meaningful evening. Thank you. I still remember how that single message made my heart flutter. It didn't take long for Jackie and I to start dating. She always took the lead on dates, and most importantly, we could enjoy fun times together that put smiles on both our faces. Rather than an extravagant church proposal, Jackie popped the question during a hotel stay on a trip. When we went to announce our engagement to Jackie's family, her mother seemed like a very kind person. We held a small wedding ceremony with just close relatives. I also disliked the idea of a flashy, showy wedding, so it was very manageable. Jackie's mother looked overjoyed then too, and I was happy thinking we were about to become family. After getting married, Jackie remained a reliable, dependable wife. Our married life progressed smoothly, and at age 23, I was blessed with a child. Wanting to prioritize the baby, I discussed it with my wife and decided to quit my job, live with my mother-in-law at Jackie's family home, and lead a calm life. Pregnancy was more challenging than I had imagined. I suffered from severe morning sickness, and as my belly grew, my back and legs began to ache. I felt I had made the right choice leaving my job. At the same time, I deeply respected women who work while pregnant. Despite the many difficulties, I had a stable life at my in-laws' home in early pregnancy. After all, my mother-in-law was sincerely happy for me during that initial period. Charles, take good care of yourself and give birth to a healthy baby. It's best to avoid raw foods and caffeine. They're not good for the little one. She was very attentive in various ways. On days I felt well, I helped out at the Italian restaurant my mother-in-law ran. Her attitude changed after I adjusted to the challenges of pregnancy and learned the baby's sex. We found out the baby's gender. The doctor said it's likely a boy. Oh, really? I was convinced it would be a girl. I really want a granddaughter to take over the restaurant. It'll be difficult with a boy. My mother-in-law stopped being considerate of me from that day onward. In fact, her treatment grew terrible, and she started to find me bothersome. Furthermore, she began telling me to have a girl next before the baby was even born. Jackie seemed to share her mother's feelings, and she rapidly grew colder toward me during this period. She was clearly disappointed that our unborn child was a boy. Pregnancy from then on was miserable. More than worrying about the baby, I had to tread carefully around my mother-in-law and Jackie. Eventually, our adorable son was born, and we named him Elliot. What a precious child. Thank you so much for coming into this world. I was so happy that I couldn't stop crying. However, after being discharged from the hospital, I returned to my in-laws' home to hear, "Well then, a girl next time." A female heir is essential to entrust the restaurant to, after all. Charles, please give birth to a girl next. Let me know as soon as your cycle resumes." My mother-in-law said this without even glancing at the grandson I held. She had pressured me about this for a while, so I was prepared, but I never expected this reaction upon seeing her first grandchild. Unsure how to respond to my disinterested mother-in-law, I snuck a peek at Jackie. "Mom's right. Considering the restaurant, we need a daughter. Have a girl next time." She nodded with a smug look. What was this woman saying? She had no intention of taking over her mother's restaurant and worked for a company, so why was she so fixated on having our children inherit it? I understood they wanted a girl and desired a second child. However, treating our son as if he didn't exist was unacceptable. At this rate, even his grandmother and mother would ignore him like he was invisible. If a girl came along later, it was clear they would neglect our son. Rather than allowing that, I started taking steps toward divorce to protect my child. The day after I resolved to leave to safeguard my son, I began searching for places online. I truly wanted to move out. I had no one to rely on, but I felt it was better to raise Elliot on my own than continue this life. I wasn't picky about where to live, but I decided to look in the city where I had lived alone before marriage since I was used to it. However, finding a home wasn't so simple. Information about my workplace was necessary for rental contracts, but no company would hire me with a newborn. Moreover, my previous employer had turned me down, saying to wait until my child was a bit older, so I couldn't secure a rental agreement. Still, I managed to find an apartment and planned to pack up and leave with my son. Once, Jackie passed by, saw my phone screen, and said, "Why are you looking at houses?" "I have no intention of moving." "I'm thinking of living with our son, just the two of us from now on." "I can't bear to stay in this house any longer. Jackie, please divorce me." When I told her that, Jackie replied, "What are you talking about? You haven't even given birth to a girl yet. And how will you support yourself? You'll job hunt while caring for an infant. You think you can provide for a child alone while unemployed?" I had planned to get by for a while on savings from before quitting my job and with remote work. "Fine. If that's how you feel, I'll give you a divorce, but no splitting assets. If you agree to that, I'll divorce you." Thrilled that Jackie finally consented to the divorce, I joyfully prepared to find our next home and move out. Then, one day, as I was about to take Elliot to submit the signed divorce papers, I couldn't find him anywhere in the house. "Hey, where's Elliot?" "Where is he?" "I'm not handing over Elliot. He's a potential heir, after all." "What's that about? That's not what we agreed on." "If you've got a problem with it, take me to court. If you think you can win a custody battle while jobless, go ahead and try." I clenched my back teeth tightly at Jackie's words. In the end, our opinions didn't align, and we really ended up in a custody battle. During that time, we couldn't finalize the divorce, and my mother-in-law and Jackie openly displayed their malice toward me. I lost the custody dispute after 6 months. I had savings but had used a considerable amount on moving. Now, unemployed with Elliot only 6 months old, my options for childcare were limited. As someone just starting a job search, I was low priority. On the other hand, Jackie had stable finances and her mother's help during the day. Although she ran an Italian restaurant, she wasn't in the kitchen or at the establishment all day, every day. She could handle Elliot's future daycare drop-offs and pickups. Considering Elliot's access to a comfortable life, the court deemed Jackie's side more suitable. A public institution told me I was unfit to raise Elliot, and I was kicked out of my in-laws' home, devastated. I cried for hours, hugging my knees in my tiny apartment before strengthening my resolve. I would secure stable employment and living conditions. Then, I would petition again for custody of Elliot. My initial job hunt struggled, but I refused to give up for Elliot's sake. Later, I successfully received and accepted an offer for a sales position. After completing training, I contacted Jackie. "I've settled into a new job and stabilized my life, so let me have our son." We won in court. "If you want to change custody, you'll have to file again. Elliot is trying his best to adjust to life here, but you only think of yourself? Well, I'll give you chances to see Elliot. Once a month should be plenty." At first, I couldn't argue against Jackie's statement. Still, for Elliot's benefit, I faithfully paid $300 in child support each month and cherished our monthly visitation. Until recently, a baby, Elliot reveals a new side of himself each time we meet monthly. While I'm happy about that, it's truly frustrating not to witness his growth firsthand. The time I spend with Elliot is genuinely blissful. I don't want to regret missing his development anymore. I work hard to see Elliot, and I've come to strongly feel that my life exists solely for our meetings. As the months and years passed, Elliot kept growing rapidly. He began stringing 2, 3 words together, progressing from pulling himself up to tottering about. By then, my income had also increased. I told Jackie once more that I wanted custody of Elliot. However, Jackie replied, "It's impossible for you to stably raise a son on that level of income. You plan to just leave him somewhere while you work all day. Here, even if I'm not around, my mother is, and he's popular with customers who find him adorable playing in the restaurant." "You're a terrible father for wanting Elliot to lead a sad life where he only sees his dad at night after working from dawn to dusk." She wouldn't grant me custody. It happened when I called Jackie to see Elliot, who had suddenly become an elementary school student. "About my time with Elliot this Sunday?" "I checked with Elliot, and it seems he made plans with friends that day, so he can't see you." "Well then, could I ask for a different day?" "I have my own schedule, so this date is the only one that works this month." "Let's do next month." She refused me like that. I want to see Elliot. I don't want to miss any more of his growth. At the same time, I sometimes wondered how Elliot felt. He's no longer just a cute toddler. He clearly has his own will and is reaching a rebellious age. Would he want to see a father who hasn't properly raised him until now? I was driven by such unease. He's at an age when he wants to play with friends, so it can't be helped. I tried to convince myself of that, but after this day, my visitations with Elliot gradually became irregular and decreased in frequency. Even on the rare occasions we had set plans, Elliot would cancel last minute, saying he wanted to hang out with friends or had lessons. I was worried, but I agonized over whether it was right to force him to see me when he didn't want to. Anyway, I dreamed of someday earning the stable income Jackie would accept and living with Elliot. I worked and steadily saved money toward that singular goal. But as Elliot entered middle school, new reasons like being busy with club activities and studies made it even harder to meet. I kept paying child support while also never failing to save for a life with Elliot. But even my patience had limits. Regardless of Elliot's feelings, I want to see him, even just a glimpse. I want to talk with him. Reaching my breaking point, I called Jackie. "Could you please work with Elliot's schedule somehow? I've hardly seen him at all since he started middle school." "Hey, are you really using the child support money for Elliot? You're not just spending it on yourself. If I can't see Elliot to check on him, I'm considering consulting the appropriate authorities. I know you and Elliot are busy, but I wish you'd coordinate your plans for this once-a-month visit." After I said that, Jackie paused for a bit before replying. "Got it. Let me check with Elliot, so wait a minute." She ended the call there for the day. A few days later, I received word that I could see Elliot for a short time after his regular exams ended and before his cram school session at a nearby Italian restaurant. I was genuinely excited to meet with Elliot. It would be a reunion with Elliot after so long. Just thinking about what present would be good for my middle school son had me giddy. I worked hard for the sake of that day. On the appointed day, I arrived at the station a whole hour earlier than our meeting time of 2 p.m. I killed time browsing a nearby department store. I was more nervous than ever, while contemplating what kind of conversation to have with my now adolescent son and seeing him for the first time in ages. The anxiety that he might not consider me worth prioritizing over hanging out with friends also crossed my mind. What if my rebellious son reacts coldly, unlike before? What if we end up in a situation where he's constantly fiddling with his smartphone without any conversation? Should I scold him? All sorts of thoughts run through my head. I overdid it coming with so much extra time. I regret as I notice it's already 1:40 p.m. It's a bit early, but I suppose I can head over now. I enter the Italian restaurant where we plan to meet 15 minutes before the appointed time. A young waiter who seems to be a part-timer greets me. His hair is so long that it hides his eyes. Welcome. I'm a little early, but I have a 2 p.m. meeting. When I give him my name along with Jackie and Elliot's, the waiter's expression turns tearful as he says, He continues, escape right now. Before they find you. Hurry! I'm baffled. Huh, what do you mean? Still confused by what he's saying, I'm led away with a, this way, taken out of the restaurant through the back door. You may not believe it, but that child isn't your real son. She's Iris, a child unrelated to you by blood. While guiding me out, the waiter furrows his brow and closes his eyes. Then, with a resolute gaze, he looks straight at me. Did you know your wife was cheating on you while you were married? What? I'm shocked. I can't believe she had time for that when she was always glued to her mother's side. At the same time, I'm skeptical about whether what this waiter is saying is true. As I carefully choose my words, he rapidly continues. It seems she was two-timing since before she met you. Right after divorcing you, Jackie promptly married her lover. Iris is a high schooler now, so she's the child born from Jackie's affair. The child you've been meeting these past few years is Iris, not your son. I need a moment to process this information. Various facts swirl in my head. My ex-wife's infidelity. The one I've been seeing is Iris, not my son Elliot. Then where's my real son? Still perplexed, I ask the waiter, how do you know such private details? Iris also works part-time at this restaurant. She once bragged about how she and her mother have been deceiving you. Iris told me about Jackie's cheating and how they mock you for continuing to pay child support for a fake son. And also, I wipe away tears at the waiter's final words. Feeling betrayed, I exit through the back door, contemplating my next steps. I make a phone call and wait 10 minutes. I'll confront Jackie and Iris alongside the police officers who arrived. I called the police, informing them that I've been defrauded, the culprits are here, and I need them to come quickly. I head back to the restaurant entrance, this time not alone but with the police. The waitress, different from earlier and wearing a manager name tag, is startled to see the police. I explain the situation and approach the table where Jackie and Iris await me. Jackie, appearing irritated by my absence at the appointed time, notices me and is about to direct her anger my way. However, her eyes abruptly dart to the officers beside me, and her face shifts to one of shock. I act as if nothing is amiss. Sorry to keep you waiting. What's going on? Did something happen? Jackie is visibly flustered. I have a few things I need to confirm. When I try to enlist the officer's help, Jackie exchanges glances with Iris and silently seats me. The police stand where they can see the three of us. Me, Jackie, and Iris. Well then, I'd like to ask you. Before the officer could finish, I interject, unable to contain myself. Who is this girl? Is she really my child? With the police mediating, I confront Jackie with what I heard. Iris keeps her head down the whole time. That's got to be some made-up story. This child is yours. Right, Elliot? Iris nods with a charming smile and calls me Dad. In that case, could I see your son's student ID? The officer's calm request causes both Iris and Jackie to visibly turn pale as they stammer. When the officer gently asks to see the student ID again, Iris, on the verge of tears, slowly takes it out of her wallet. The ID clearly shows her high school's name and her name, Iris. This girl isn't Elliot. Facing the evidence, I break down in tears. In truth, I had felt for a while that my son's demeanor had changed. I'd read that children's appearances change as they grow, and I convinced myself it was natural for him to look different from when he was born. But I sometimes doubted how little he resembled me. On the other hand, he looked a lot like Jackie, so I accepted he took after his mom. I was afraid that if I voiced these doubts to Jackie, I wouldn't be allowed to see my son anymore. Tears of frustration and pathetic realization pour out. Jackie seems to give up and starts talking. Actually, Elliot wanted to live with you too. He kept saying he wanted to see his dad. Since you always said you wanted custody, I thought he might go with you if you met. Then I wouldn't get the monthly child support, right? That measly $300 was still appreciated. I am appalled. You did this for money. Mom's restaurant was in trouble. $300 is nothing for rebuilding a business, but it helped with our living expenses. But sorry. We're good now that I apologized, right? I can't forgive this. Give back the time you stole from me and Elliot. Ugh, fine. How much do you want? $500? Don't mess with me, bringing someone else while promising to let me see my son. I'll sue you for fraud, I declare. Jackie's face visibly twitches at my threat of a lawsuit. I didn't swindle you, so there's no way it's fraud. Child support is for the child. I properly used that money for her living expenses. Acting high and mighty when you didn't even notice Iris wasn't your real son. Do you think you can talk to me like that? You might never see Elliot again. Jackie says that aggressively. Is she trying to intimidate me? I can only be appalled by her smug, gloating face. I look straight at Jackie and speak clearly with confidence. It's fine. I've already met Elliot, so it's all good. What? When? Jackie's shoulders slump. As if waiting for that cue, the waiter who had been observing from a distance approaches. Jackie grimaces upon seeing him. The young part-time waiter who had led me out the back door was actually my son, Elliot. When he took me out back and told me about Iris, the waiter lifted the hair covering his eyes and said, "I've been waiting, Dad." It's me, Elliot. The girl I thought was my son was Iris, and the waiter in front of me now was Elliot. My mind is in a panic. But with his hair up, this boy resembles me somewhat. We have a similar build and hair texture. That's all, though. To me, still in disbelief, Elliot takes out his wallet and shows me his student ID. It unmistakably has Elliot's name written on it. Are you really Elliot? Yes, Dad. I wanted to see you so badly. Elliot clings to me as he says that. This scent, this feeling. It reminds me of holding newborn Elliot. The grown Elliot is completely different from the infant in my memories, but as his father, I know with a sense I can't explain to others that this child hugging me is Elliot. I hold Elliot tightly. We cry together. I ask Elliot about the life he has led. This Italian restaurant run by my ex-mother-in-law was where Elliot, living at Jackie's house, was forced to work like a servant. With the business struggling and the mother-in-law reluctant to pay wages, she had trained Elliot as an employee. She made Elliot work every single day and apparently handed him a meager sum late at night, calling it a daily wage. However, Elliot was charged a usage fee even to eat meals or take a shower there. Elliot lived with my ex-mother-in-law Jackie, Iris, and Iris's mother, enduring horrible treatment. Iris's attitude was especially awful. She repeatedly mocked and harassed Elliot, who couldn't go anywhere, reveling in her sense of superiority as the beloved child. They never let poor Elliot out of the house to avoid the slightest chance of running into me. So, originally, he shouldn't have been at the restaurant today. The reason Elliot was here was that one of the few employees fell ill and couldn't come in, so the manager called Elliot as a substitute. The manager didn't know about Elliot and Iris's relationship. Moreover, the mother-in-law wasn't aware of today's scheduled visitation, which had been arranged a few days prior. Elliot didn't tell her and showed up to work like nothing was amiss. He proactively took on reception duties, planning to meet me. Jackie inadvertently cursed out her mother, but quickly shifted to a brazen attitude. "Good thing you two met then. We're all set now that you've seen each other. It's not fraud, right? Thanks for going to the trouble of calling the cops." She laughs mockingly. I want to sigh at her, but this is the police's job from here on out. The officers address the mother-in-law, who had emerged from the back to observe. "Is it true that you employed Elliot and paid him wages?" "Of course. I properly gave him money. Aren't I kind? Is there a problem?" "I see. Well then, Elliot, may I see your student ID?" Elliot, startled to suddenly be addressed by the police, presents his ID. It clearly states the name of his middle school. The officer furrows his brow and tells the mother-in-law and Jackie to come to the station. As the two express shock, the officer carefully chooses his words and speaks in a low voice. "It's illegal to have a 13-year-old middle schooler work like this. If you call it helping around the house, that's one thing. But if you're paying a salary, doesn't that make him an employee? There's a possibility it's an allowance, so we can't definitively call it illegal. There are some approved occupations even middle schoolers can work, but such long hours at a restaurant is a bit... Anyway, could you please come with us so we can hear more details?" The officers slowly lead the speechless pair to the patrol car and leave. Later, the mother-in-law and Jackie are arrested under the Child Abuse Prevention Act. There is a careful investigation into whether Elliot was an employee, but more than that, his daily life was hopelessly unacceptable. Apparently, when Jackie was arrested, Iris's mother took her daughter and fled. She's currently in divorce mediation with Jackie. With no adults left in the house where Elliot was living, I am finally able to gain custody of him. Taking this opportunity, I can now live with just Elliot. We find a suitable apartment and decide to start our life there. I try to finish work as early as possible so I don't come home late. Looking forward to dinner with Elliot. Elliot has adjusted to his new school life and tells me all sorts of stories about his friends, teachers, and the badminton club he wanted to try. Of course, he also talks about his studies. Math really is hard. Were you good at math, Dad? When Elliot asks me that, I reply, I was in the science track, so I was decent at math. But I was hopeless at social studies. Then teach me this part. Let's see. For this problem. I write out equations in his notebook as I explain. Huh. I can solve it if I think about it that way. Thanks. This is what I always wanted. Having you teach me at home what I didn't understand at school, then bragging to my friends tomorrow that I figured it out. I never had anyone to teach me at home before. I'm counting on you from now on, Dad. These ordinary moments bring me to tears with joy. The decade I couldn't be by Elliot's side is regrettable, but I'm determined to keep working hard so my son can lead a happy life going forward. For now, I want to relish this long-awaited life as a family. Thank you.